Hey Emma,
Yes, Madelyn.
what do you call the biggest river mouth in the world?
I don't know. What do you call it?
The longest delta! Hello and welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I was like Delta Moon, Delta Baboon. I was trying to come up with something with that, but then I just figured let's go for the low-hanging fruit.
If you'd come up with something for Delta Baboon, I would have been impressed.
A baboon that lives in a river mouth. A monkey, a blue-cheeked monkey that lives at the mouth of a river. A delta baboon.
Why blue-cheeked?
Because, don't they have colorful butts?
Do they have blue butts?
I don't know.
I don't think they
I'm
have
not a
blue
baboon
butts.
expert. This is why I didn't tell this joke, and then you made me tell it. Well, folks, welcome to Talk This.
It's dangerous to podcast alone.
I'm your non-primate versed host, Madelyn.
I'm your other one, Emma.
Nice. And thanks for tuning in for this week's full episode, the last one of the month of June.
Yep.
Emma and I are having a great time here at Talk This NYC HQ, Sunday at noon.
Yep.
And we had a great time at the Kingdom Hearts Orchestra concert last night, which we will not discuss here at all.
I mean, it's not a side quest, so.
Exactly, we have to save the content.
Exactly.
But instead, we will be discussing a couple of other games that deal with light and darkness, or at least two things in harmony and separate worlds and such. The Longest Journey and Deltarune.
They're both parallel world themed, aren't they?
Yeah, they really are. I think that's going to have to be a main element of our crossover.
Yeah, for sure.
But let's talk about them individually first. And of course, we'll start out with our old game, The Longest Journey. So, The Longest Journey, to quote the game's website that I looked at, that seems to not really have been updated, probably at least for a decade, but maybe, well, I don't know. I guess they only released the Mac version of it in 2014, so it probably hasn't really been updated since 2014, but to quote the game's website, The Longest Journey is more than a game. It's more like a book, a movie, and a game rolled into one.
You know, it's not inaccurate.
I was just like...
That's
really?
Actually, that's kind of what a game is.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, that's called a video game.
To be fair, it came out in 1999, right? When we were still figuring these things out.
Well, I'm going to have a lot to say about that later, but I'll introduce the game first. So it's one of those point-and-click adventure games that were super popular in the 90s for the PC originally, developed by Funcom, which is it's a Norwegian game studio, right?
Yep, I think so. Some sort of Scandinavia.
Yeah. Their whole Wikipedia page is just a history of, their layoffs.
They're still around, though.
I know, and they do the Conan games, and I think that Emma, if they're hiring and you want to work there until they lay you off, I think they have a North Carolina division.
Perfect.
It was just funny. I was reading through, I was like, wow, the whole history of this company is in 2007, they laid off 30% of their staff. It's like, okay. Anyway, The Longest Journey was released in 1999, making it 20 years old. Like I said, it's one of those point-and-click games. Emma, did you actually end up playing any of it, or did you just buy it?
I played about 2.5 hours of it.
So, yes, you did play some of it.
Yes.
Emma got ripped off. It's currently $5 on Steam. She bought it for $10.
How am I supposed to know when the Steam sales are going to happen? You know?
So all this to say, folks, if you enjoy our talk about this game and think, maybe I should play it, you can pick it up on Steam for $5 and have the satisfaction of knowing that you paid half the price that Emma paid. So Emma, maybe you're going to be able to explain this plot better than I will, but I'm going to do my best here.
Okay, we just need the premise, Madelyn, okay? No need to get too deep into the weeds. I feel like sometimes with these more complicated games, we end up, like, doing like 10 minutes of plot explanation that we don't necessarily need. And this one is one of those.
Amazing. That's good because I tried to read about the plot and did not really understand it. So you play as April Ryan. You're an art student living in the industrial universe of Stark. And you live in this kind of world situation where these two parallel universes that I think not everybody realizes that, right?
Yes, no, you don't know this at the beginning of the story. I'm trying to remember what the city you live in is called. Venice. But it's not like Venice, Italy. It's like a crappy Venice.
Nice. So you live in Stark, and Stark is this like industrial science universe. And there's also this other parallel universe that you visit a lot in dreams before realizing it's not just a dream, called Arcadia, which is the magic universe. Mm-hmm. And so you, this like struggling art student, which like, haha, you're an art student in the science world, like sucks to suck. Like, good luck finding a job, April. And basically, you discover that you can move between worlds. And so then, like, weird stuff starts happening, and you get kind of, like, stuck in Arcadia because you can't move between worlds voluntarily for most of the game. And you learn that the balance between these two magic and science worlds is disintegrating. And basically you go on this big journey to get these talismans to restore the balance and fulfill a prophecy of someone bringing things back into balance. Right? Mm-hmm. Roughly?
Yeah, I guess so. I haven't gotten that far yet, so.
Also, wow, I don't want to... Are you going to care if I... Never mind.
It's 20 years old. I'm not going to care if you spoil it.
A dragon is your mom.
Well, I kind of already knew that part, yeah.
I wasn't sure if it was really... The Wikipedia made it seem like you didn't really find that out until the end.
Yeah, but, like, even if it's, like, metaphorical, the dragon at the beginning calls you my daughter, so, you know.
Anyway, that's sort of the overall summary, and of course, really what you're doing as the player is solving all of these point-and-click puzzles.
Honestly, there have not been very many puzzles yet.
Fair enough.
I'm about 2.5 hours in, and, like, the puzzles are just, like, show the item to the person to initiate a conversation right now. I just stopped before one that seemed like an actual kind of puzzle, but I think I know how to do it, so, yeah.
So everybody tell Emma that she's smart.
I am smart.
Oh, wait.
I got rid of a detective, like, hanging around the spot I wanted to investigate by, wrapping a candy wrapper around some slime on the ground and sending him to the bathroom, so... I was pretty impressed with myself for figuring that one out.
That's some MacGyver level stuff. That's some chocolate bar on acid levels of puzzle solving.
Except you feed the acid chocolate bar to somebody.
Well, we can't all be heroes.
But yeah, I read a lot about it before I bought it because I was trying to figure out if it was worth buying. And a lot of people were like, I had never really heard of it before I put it on the list. I had just been looking for, like, famous old games, and I found this. I was like, what's that? I don't know, but it's going on our hat list. But apparently it was a lot of people really liked it when it came out. It was, like, the point-and-click adventure game that, like, tried to tell, like, a serious story instead of being, like a lot of them were, like we've talked about Monkey Island and Grim Fandango, which have stories, right? But they're, like, goofy.
Yeah.
And not that, like, this doesn't have some goofiness to it, but it's trying to, like, tell this, like, highfalutin fantasy story at the same time, which was, like, very new. And apparently for the time, it had, like, very impressive graphics, and I can sort of see that in the background. Like, the very first image, like, even though, like, April herself is kind of funny looking, you know?
She looks like janky Lara Croft.
Yeah, a little bit.
You know, like, Lara Croft around this era, she really, I don't think she's quite as endowed as Lara Croft, no. But she looks like that.
But, like, the first shot, there's just, like, this really beautiful skyline of Arcadia in her dream. That's just like, oh, yeah, wow. That's really impressive. But I've been thinking about that a lot, because a lot of people were sharing, for some reason, I guess because the Final Fantasy VIII remaster was announced, but, like, old tricks that some of the old Final Fantasies would use with, like, FMVs in the background that were, like, really, really high quality, but didn't take up very much space. And like the
And what are
tricks-
FMBs for the people who don't know what that stands for?
I don't really know what it stands for.
See, you're just like us.
There's it's just like a movie file.
Yeah.
So it's just like playing a movie in the background,
That's funny.
basically.
That's really funny.
Yeah. So like in Final Fantasy VIII, there's like a part where you're just like running through a battlefield, and the battlefield in the background is this really high quality looking like fight scene. That's like if you just had like models back there, there's no way you'd be able to make it look so good, but it's just like feels so good. And even though it's all looks old and like this looks old, right? Like it says something that I can still kind of get the sense of like, yes, I can see why people were so impressed by this at the time.
Yeah. It sold, I mean, it didn't sell well at all by today's standards, but for the expectations of this Norwegian company, sold quite well, right? In its first 5 years, sold like 500,000 copies, despite the fact that they really delayed the US release, sort of weirdly. It released in Norway, and then released in Europe, and then like 6 months later, for the holiday season, they released it in the US.
So now it's backwards from how companies do the EU releases nowadays.
Yes, we hold Norway for the very last. Always.
I mostly just meant that they always save Europe. Like, Europe's game releases come out, like, months later for some reason.
Who knows? I don't know. I don't understand that at all. Why would that have to be?
It must have something to do with, like, I don't know, like how ratings board stuff works there.
Oh,
or
maybe.
Copyright stuff, or something legal, is what I would assume.
Yeah, that makes sense. And it also got really great reviews. Kind of notably, it won in 1999, right? IGN's Best Game No One Played award, which feels real.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what an excellent category for video games. I appreciated that was an award that existed in 1999. And also, April Ryan is frequently cited as one of the strongest female adventure game characters. Do you feel like that holds up in your 2.5 hours with her?
I like her. It has a very slow approach. I mean, sort of, right? Like, there is a period of, like, where you meet people and you're like, what'd you think of this person when you met them? What'd you think of me when I met you? Right? Where it's, like, trying to give you some sense of the characters, right? But it's been very slow to, like, reveal, like, she had some sort of falling out with her father, basically, and she ran away to this city to be an art student. But that's really all you know about her past at all. And she has, like, all the stuff that she's saved from her childhood that, like, she's, for some reason, can't get rid of, but that, like, also sort of regards it with, like, sort of a level of, like, disdain at the same time. So it's interesting. I just don't feel like I know her very well yet, and because this feels like it's going to be a long game. I have not looked up on how long to beat yet, but it feels long already.
Well, gee, wonder why.
I mean, I'm like half an hour. Like, chapter 1 was like 2 hours, basically.
I mean, Emma, the game is called The Longest Journey.
I know.
So I feel like if it's less than like 20 hours, you've not gotten your money's worth.
Uh-huh.
False advertising.
It's still like I don't know if this is a problem, because I do like it in some games, but it is like you can comment on everything, even if it's just like it's a chair, it's a plant. It has that like old adventure game sort of methodology to it. Like, yeah. I just wish, like, if you were commenting on it, you actually have something to say about it. Like, not just make me go walk over the desks just so she can say, it's my desk.
It's a desk. Sometimes I do that, though, walking around my house. I'm like, oh, it's a poster. It's a Gratzko doll.
Fair enough. It is true. It's authentic thought process.
That's the true female experience. It's my television. That's how we think, gentlemen.
Very logically. Even now, as I talk about this game, I have to struggle from saying out loud, "It's my mic. It's my computer." You know, you don't know how hard it is, really, to be me, to be us.
It's very difficult to be this logical and this puzzle-solving oriented all the time. I'm moving my cursor around the screen to look around right now, and it's difficult to not accidentally right-click. Oh, it's a bookshelf.
But I do really like its sort of very slow, sort of mysterious pacing. Like, it starts off with April starting, like, having this dream, and then she starts to see fantastical things in the real world, and then slowly everybody else starts to see fantastical things in the real world, right? Mm-hmm. Like, there's this, honestly, it really spooks me. I mean, I'm easily scared, so bear that in mind. But, like, she shares, like, a artist workspace with her friend, and she's going up to work on her painting, and her friend is working on, like, this new, like, holographic sculpting technology, and she just has,
That's
like,
dope.
A weird, like, dragon creature in it, and as you're walking by, like, as you're picking up your paint supplies, like, April's back is turned to it, it just slowly turns into a real dragon and starts pouncing at you, but then as soon as April turns around, it, like, goes back to the holographic thing.
Yo,
and it
that is
me.
A little spooky.
That was another moment I was like, yeah, that's cool, right?
Did she comment on it? Was she like, it's a hologram, it's a dragon?
No, she actually explained that it was something her friend was making, right, when you clicked on it.
I'm joking.
Yeah.
Have they done a lot of swearing yet? Everybody seemed to be very scandalized about how much swearing there was in this game in 1999.
Maybe I'm desensitized to it, but I don't think they've said any real bad words yet.
To quote IGN, there's some big-time swearing.
Some big-time swearing. I haven't noticed.
So brace yourself for the profanity-fueled tirade April's about to go on.
I will. I'll brace myself.
Because it sounds like it's coming big time.
Big time. Got it.
Okay, I have a lot of what I think are sort of amusing quotes from the contemporary IGN review that I'd like to share.
Okay.
I just found it amusing.
We always,
so here's one.
I feel like every time we have an old game, we find, like, the old IGN review, and we're like, what is this?
So here's the first one. Well, first, to go off of that big-time swearing, just another amusing quote on that line. Quote, think of this as the HBO of adventure games, and you've got a pretty good idea of what to expect.
You know what? I could see this as an HBO show. Not
like
gonna
a True
lie.
Detective, but with magic.
Yeah. Next step, you gotta replace Game of Thrones with something, right? That's not, I mean, replacing it with more Game of Thrones, but also...
Well, Chernobyl, right? Everyone's into Chernobyl.
Yeah, but I don't think that's gonna have a second season.
Really? It's gotten, like, crazy review ratings, apparently.
But it's just based on Chernobyl. They already did it.
Chernobyl 2.
Chernobyl 2. Electric Boogaloo.
Nuclear Boogaloo.
You're right. I'm sorry.
Thank you. But okay, that was just a bonus to the big time swearing. Here's another one. Quote, it's almost foreign to have a main character in a video game ask questions about their mortality and existence, but April Ryan's humor-driven look at life seems to be able to pull off such topics without ever dragging down the story or blurring the last journey's strong gaming focus.
True.
I was just amazed at their wonder at a video game character being able to, I don't know.
Be quippy?
Like be quippy and, like, have a little bit of existential dread. Right?
Yeah.
But here's the real kicker. Quote, when characters converse, it's as much about talking about their lives as it is about getting the next clue for the next puzzle. And while that might sound boring, it's really not. You'll care about the characters in the game, you'll be interested in what's going to happen to them, and you'll be waiting to see how the characters will fit into the story as the mystery unravels. I just loved their, like, characterization. You'd think that'd be boring.
It's true.
this is sort of a theme of the whole review, is them saying, like, oh yeah, like, the game is good, but also story, character.
I mean,
Can
that's
you
what
believe
I was
it?
talking about, right, earlier? Like, that's what people were taken with it with, is that it's trying to tell this, like, big fantasy epic that wasn't just, like, based on existing property, right?
I know. It's just now in the day and age where even our massive multiplayer shooting games have to have aggressive lore. It's incredible to read a review from just 20 years ago where they're marveling over the fact that characters can talk about their lives in a way that is a little bit realistic.
Yeah.
It just always takes me by surprise.
It's true.
It wouldn't take just how far the games industry has come so fast. And I was even seeing some reviews that were already getting at, I feel like, a debate that we're still having about the future of video games telling more interesting stories as opposed to getting that polygon count to where you want it to be.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating that this has continued to be that the discussion was so different, but also so much the same.
The Longest Journey also has 2 sequels. It's a trilogy, technically.
Well, go on.
One of them was released episodically, but it's still the same game. If that's what you're going to say.
I was going to say, I thought that there was... I didn't realize that Dreamfall Chapters was really officially a third, because they're wanting to release another one.
Oh, they are?
Well, they announced it 3 years ago. The guy wants it to happen, but there doesn't really seem to be any movement on it.
Well, Dreamfall Chapters is a continuation.
Fair enough. Go
on. So there's Dreamfall, The Longest Journey, and then Dreamfall Chapters. Dreamfall Chapters was Kickstarter funded and released episodically. They weren't quite as well received as The Longest Journey. Dreamfall, the original Dreamfall, because it tried to, like, it added combat that was really bad. And that was, like, it, like, dragged the rest of the game down, apparently, according to reviews, of how bad this combat was. Like, most of the reviews I read for it were like, yeah, it's good, it's more Longest Journey stuff, but also, this is gosh darn combat. It's killing me.
Yikes.
You get it? It's funny.
That is very funny. Ha ha ha.
I didn't read as much about Dreamfall Chapters, because it doesn't fall under, or at least I don't think, it doesn't fall under our old game.
No, it was released in 14 to 16.
Yeah. 14 to 17. Oh, no, updated Final Cut version. Never mind. Yeah, but it's interesting that it was Kickstarter funded.
Everything. The future is Kickstarter funded.
Kind of. There's a lot of controversy about that right now. For Shenmue 3, but we're not talking about Shenmue this episode.
Look it up, people. We can't be your only source of video game news.
Yeah. There's this thing, it's called Google.
Have you heard of Twitter?
But Dreamfall Chapters was developed by the original creator's new studio. Because he got the licensing rights from Funcom, which is still around.
And making Conan games.
Yep.
What would you do if you suddenly were transported into Magic World? Because I assume this is Science World, right?
Yeah, probably. I don't know. Sometimes I think about it, like, you know, how nice it would be to just be like, oh yeah, you grow up, you get the magic sword, you go on your quest, and then you just, like, sleep for the rest of your life, right? Like, what a simple fantasy existence the main hero receives. Like, sometimes I'm very jealous of characters in stories that have, like, very clear-cut goals.
Mm-hmm.
That are like, yeah, you just get up, you practice with your sword so that you can become the best swords person in the sword land. That sounds nice.
You should make a game about it.
Just like any game? The games that exist, you mean?
No, a game about being a character that has a clear-cut goal and then doesn't.
Ah, I see.
You play through the first, 5 hours, and it's a, just a classic fantasy, I don't know, even 8-bit, and then suddenly you're thrust into open world where you have to figure out a career path and get a job.
Yeah. And they're like, what's your skill set? And you're like, I got this magic sword.
I have a +7 sword.
And they're like, do you know Excel, though? And you say, yes.
I excel at swords.
Wink.
I don't think it's possible to know Excel. You just Google it whenever you need something. I don't think it's,
It is possible to know Excel, Madelyn.
I mean, yes, but I don't think... In what situation would being, a real master of Excel ever serve you?
When you have to use it a lot.
In what situations are you using anything other than sum formulas?
I don't know, if you're mathy or you're doing, calculations or stuff in Excel.
Fair enough. I guess. Why are you doing it in Excel?
Just because you don't use Excel doesn't mean that there aren't jobs that use Excel.
I do use Excel. I use Excel regularly, and I only ever use the sum formula.
Anyway, speaking of the sum formula.
That was not. That was misleading. That was false advertising.
I was gonna go off of speaking of falling into a world or something, but then you had to go and change the topic to Excel.
I didn't mean to change. You're the one who brought up Excel.
Yeah, but I made a joke. You didn't have to go on a tangent about knowing Excel.
Sorry, I spent a lot of time in Excel today. I'm sorry.
Deltarune.
So this is the rare new game. Have you finished it?
No.
What?
I haven't finished it.
You haven't finished it? I finished it, Emma.
Good job.
Is this a first?
Probably.
Is this a first for the podcast? I have finished a new game that Emma hasn't finished? Oh my god. This is monumental. Mark this date, everyone. June 30th, 2019. Madelyn talked about a game on the podcast and had more knowledge than Emma.
Okay.
Probably not. You'll probably still know more about it than I do.
Okay.
But still.
Wow. So, do you want to introduce it then, Madelyn, since you're such an expert? Or maybe I should do the background so that you can fill stuff in with your...
Yeah, I don't want to spoil you, but yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so Deltarune, it's a role-playing game. It's from Toby Fox of Undertale fame. It says something about how ubiquitous Undertale is that I looked it up and it said it came out in 2015. I didn't believe Wikipedia. I was like, no way, it was only 2015.
Yeah, I was talking to
it's gotta be at least 2012.
I was talking to him about it, and he was like, yeah, I remember it being all over my Facebook, and I was like, how old are you? How long ago was this? Undertale came out in, 2010, but no.
No, it really wasn't that long ago.
Yeah.
Which was really surprising to me when I looked that up. But we're not talking about Undertale. We're talking about Deltarune, which was actually a game that Toby Fox had an idea for before he made Undertale. The ending to it came to him in a dream, apparently. And he wanted to make...
A dream where he was in a magic world?
A game. And we haven't
Just
seen this
kidding.
ending yet, I guess, because there's multiple chapters of Deltarune. This is the first one, and Chapter 2 is planned without a release date. But he released Chapter 1 for free to try out, which is probably why Madelyn got it and played it.
It's also... It took me, 2.5 hours,
Yeah,
so...
it's not super long. In a lot of ways, it's just, it's kind of updated Undertale in its mechanics, in which sort of the way combat works is you have, your, is it called soul?
Yeah.
In this too? Yeah. Your soul, which is this little heart thing, and you sort of move it around this box and avoid little pellets or whatever that the enemy is shooting at you. It's it's a bullet hell, basically. But you're Chris. That's this guy's name, right?
That's a bit of a spoiler, but okay.
Oh, sorry.
Just kidding. Just because I played the opening part of it not realizing that I wasn't going to get to play as Pal.
Oh, right. Okay, the opening to it actually is a pretty good summary of the Toby Fox style of game, in that it asks you to design your avatar, which suspiciously gets less and less customizable as you go.
Yeah, I was wondering that. So my TV is tiny, right?
Yeah.
And so I was looking at the legs and I was like, are there like subtle differences here?
No,
it's
just the same legs. I'm pretty sure. Or maybe there's like a pixel difference, but they're just the same legs.
I picked the second one.
And then once you've designed your avatar, named your avatar, and become attached to your avatar,
you answer a lot of questions about your avatar.
Yes. The game then deletes it and tells you that no one can choose who they are in this world. And then the game begins.
Pal. I was so excited for everyone to call me Pal.
No.
I was like, what's a successor to Champ? And I thought Pal would be a good one. Anyway. Yeah, you play as Chris. Ugh.
But that's very much sort of the tone and style, I would say, of Toby Fox games.
I liked it. It, got me into the, like, oh, this is a game and you're playing with gaming. Like, I respect that. I appreciate that. I think a lot about that, and I like when people play with it, but I was still, my poor Pal, rest in peace.
But anyway, Chris, it seems like it's all normal. You're in a normal town, except there's, like, monster-looking people for some reason. But beyond that, you're in a normal town, you're going to a normal school, you've got a normal bully named Susie, and then you wander into a closet to, like, fetch some handouts, and it turns out it's a closet to another world.
To get some chalk.
I'm sorry.
Because Susie ate the chalk.
Of course.
Susie is like a purple horse girl. And I don't mean a horse girl like a girl who loves horses.
Like a horse girl.
Like she is a horse.
I read on Wikipedia that Toby Fox's original design for Susie was based on Maya Fey from Phoenix Wright. And that she was originally going to be really gentle and kind. But then, like, as it developed, she just got more and more punk rocker.
Nice.
But anyway, you fall into this mysterious world, and you meet the prince, who turns out his name is Ralsei, and he wants you to go, like, restart a fountain or something.
So there's a fountain in, like, basically the Dark Castle, and there's some kind of prophecy about a human and a monster and a prince of the darkness, aka you three. Basically, you're like the forces of light, and it used to be that light and darkness were in balance, and now they're not. And that by going to this fountain, not only is it the only way for Chris and Susie to get back home, it's also going to help restore this balance.
Yeah.
Maybe. Some of the lore stuff, I feel like, for the best, honestly.
You know.
2.5 hour game.
From what I recall, Ralsei doesn't really know either.
Yeah.
He's just kind of spewing a story at you that he doesn't fully understand.
Yeah.
Yeah. I played about an hour of it when it first dropped on Switch, which I think was back in February, so my memory is a little bit hazy.
Mm-hmm. I'm also playing on Switch. I was going to play it on PS4 so I could more easily get screen captures, but it doesn't. I couldn't find it on the PlayStation Store.
I wonder if it's not out yet. No, it is. They did not. It released on the same day for Switch.
It just didn't. I couldn't find it for some reason. I was very confused. I was looking in the demo section. I think it's probably hidden somewhere because it's like a weird demo that's not a demo.
Maybe.
Anyway, it's all about light and darkness and the power of friendship. So I enjoyed it. I only play games, actually, that are about light and darkness and the power of friendship.
How did you fight?
Oh, I befriended all the enemies. I accidentally let Susie kill one of them. So I didn't realize that I had to warn them.
Yeah.
I was confused.
I think it was actually clever that she's, like, in your party at the beginning, but you can't control her actions at all.
Yeah. No, it was interesting. I appreciated the ways that they played with the gameplay. Undertale, I think, I know, like, negative about Undertale.
Really? I wish I knew negative about Undertale sometimes.
Well, we balance out, I guess.
It was just, I've never played Undertale, okay? But it was very much like the cult hit, I guess, of 2015. I can't believe it came out in 2015. And there's tons of memes about it, you know, and people were like, oh man, there's nothing as revolutionary as Undertale. And I was like, yeah, it got some good ideas and did some cool stuff, but come on, man, play another game.
Fair enough.
That's how I felt about it sometimes.
Yeah. But it also, you know, this mechanic of being able to spare your enemies carries over, right?
Yeah.
I think.
So I feel like Toby Fox has said that there's less extreme sort of consequences to sparing and killing in Deltarune, but in Undertale there was like the pacifist path and the in-between path and the genocide, I guess route, I guess not path, but that all sort of end up in different places. And it also remembered your previous playthroughs, and people would react to you based on that.
That's freaky.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know, like, how much of this, like, can I talk through the whole thing?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna try not to, I mean, I don't really feel like there's that much I can give away, like, not that much happens.
Yeah.
I did find I got very attached to the characters pretty quickly. You know, we get to see Susie undergo kind of a mini arc. We get to see Lancer, who is the son of... I know I just said that Ralsei is a Prince of Darkness, although I'm kind of confused about, like, Prince of what?
Darkness.
We didn't meet his parents. But then there is, like, a King of Darkness, and then we have Lancer, who's his son, and it was confusing to me. I obviously there's more to that. But we see a little mini arc for Lancer. There's a lot of just, like, fun flavor text that happens. You get to build a monster at some point. I made mine a hot monster.
Perfect.
All the head and the body and the legs have, like, different values. And then, like, Lancer looked at it and he was like, or no, Susie or Lancer looked at it and he was like, this looks like you guys want to kiss. It was real weird. Anyway, yeah, there's a lot of fun flavor text. I wish that I could make it scroll faster. Always.
Were there no options that you could find?
I didn't look.
Probably should have looked. I don't know if there are, but...
I mean, it was fine. It didn't scroll slowly or anything. I just wanted an option to be able to go, like, click all the text is on screen.
Yeah.
But that's fine. I'll allow it. And then so this is not exactly, I mean, you finish, like, the kind of the dungeon portion of the chapter, and then you wander around your neighborhood. And there's a lot going on. I don't know what's going on with your brother coming home from college. I'm worried about what that's going to be. Your dad and your mom are apparently having a tough time. Your dad is a florist, by the way.
Good to know.
So, like, you can, like, he, like, gives you a bouquet for your mom, and you, like, bring the bouquet to your mom, and she's like, it's from him, isn't it?
Oh, great.
You also, biggest disappointment of the game, so you end the chapter by going to bed.
Yeah.
Great. But your mom has baked a pie for you, a butterscotch cinnamon pie.
Wow.
And she's like, you can eat it when you wake up in the morning. And I love butterscotch, listeners.
Oh, man, you should have known something bad was going to happen.
I was so disappointed that I didn't get to eat my pie.
That's like a death flag right there.
There's
He was
pie.
1 day away from butterscotch pie.
Well, he didn't. There's something happens at the end. Something happens at the end after you go to bed and don't get to eat your pie. I don't really understand what it was, to be honest.
I mean, you
But
gotta
something
have
happens.
the stinger to lead into the next chapter, right?
Yeah, the next chapter that has no planned release date. But sure.
You know,
I didn't need, the pie was enough of a stinger.
I can't imagine it'll be a ridiculously long time, because Undertale came out in 2015, and this came out 2018. And now he has all, like, the character graphics and stuff done.
He's like a composer too, right?
Yeah, he does, like, everything in it is him. He's one of the, like, one-man shows.
Oh, did you know that he went to Northeastern?
Yeah, I did, actually. I don't think he finished.
What?
I don't think he finished, but maybe I'm wrong about that.
Have you tried to email him and say,
no, I haven't.
Go Huskies? Like, woof woof.
But yeah, he's one of those, like, one-man show type of things. Yeah. But I feel like he's done the first chapter. He's gotten a lot of, like, what I imagine, like, the coding for it and a lot of the art for it already down in place. Like, that still leaves a lot of work to do, but it was, like, 3 to 4 years between this and Undertale. Probably a year or two for the next one. If I had to guess. Mm-hmm. So look forward to it, Madelyn.
A year or two for the next chapter?
Yeah. What?
I'm sorry. This doesn't feel like a game that's gonna, like, this feels like a game that has to be at least, like, 5 chapters.
Maybe it's you don't know how long each chapter is going to be either.
Fair enough.
Like, it's possible, like, this one's released for free because it's so short.
That's fair.
And, contained. But the other ones will not be free. He has said already.
Well,
he released it when it came out. It was like this, like, spooky file that you downloaded to your computer that some people had problems with. You had to, like, swear not to say anything about it for, like, a week after playing it. Yes. It was funny. Like, it was very much like a sort of a very small little ARG, I guess. Mm-hmm.
I am deeply bad at the bullet hell part. Deeply bad.
Nier hasn't helped you get better at that yet?
In Nier, I shoot the bullets.
Fair enough.
I always wonder if these sorts of things, these sorts of finesse things, are harder on my tiny television.
I mean, the little dots that they shoot at you are pretty small, so I can imagine it being hard to see. Maybe you should have played it handheld so you could hold it closer to your face.
Maybe. I have never played anything handheld on my Switch.
Really?
I don't think ever. Yeah, because, I mean, most of the time, it's a 2-person, one of us is playing, one of us is watching.
Fair enough.
This was my one opportunity to play it handheld, and I guess I missed it.
Yeah.
Oops.
And I haven't played a lot handheld. I played a little bit of Tales of Vesperia and Celeste, mostly handheld, but yeah. Anyway, I guess we should move on to the mashup.
Okay, so we have to have 2 different worlds.
Obviously, yeah.
That are out of balance.
One that's sort of like, one that's sort of like normal society, and the other one that's sort of a fantastical world, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Which one is going to be the dark world?
I don't know. Are we going, what's our theme? Right? Are we doing, like, appreciate the mundanity of your existence? Or are we saying that industrialization's evil?
Why not both?
Well, that, like, it's which one's the dark world then, right? Like, which one's supposed to be the one that is good? Because that affects the themes,
That's fair. I was thinking more about how to diversify them gameplay-wise.
I see. So I don't really know how that's... So one of them's actually dark and you have a flashlight. That's what you're saying.
No. I meant, like, okay, one of them is going to have to be, like, 8-bit, right?
Okay.
And the other one is going to be hyper-realistic graphics.
Okay.
I mean, I realize that obviously The Longest Journey is no longer hyper-realistic, but for the time, right?
So you fall into your Pico 8, you're saying?
Yes.
And then you're in that world.
Yes.
Okay.
Why not? See, then I've really mixed it, right? Because the 8-bit, it's like kind of the technology world, but it's also the simple world.
I see. Ooh.
Blending.
Ooh.
I guess I can't. I was like, how would you make a hyper-realistic bullet hell? Like, it doesn't really work, does it?
No.
Okay. What else? You play as a strong punk rock lady.
Okay.
I don't know, like, there's not enough about Deltarune that I know yet. Like, I want to make this mashup, and he's going to release the next one. It's going to be like, well, that was not what the game was about.
Well, we're just drawing inspiration from it, right? We're not like taking Chris and sticking him in the game and then deleting him out of a petty sense of revenge and replacing him with Pal. We're not doing that.
If only we were doing that. I don't know. Give me some fodder here. You don't have to keep the 8-bit world. I was just trying to compare the two graphical styles.
No, it's kind of fun. I feel like if you did that, though, you would really have to be like, I fell into the computer. Like, you'd have to do that kind of, like... But then you're getting into some messy territory, like, how are we commenting on, like, technology and the internet? You know, we have to think about, like, are we, like, cautionary about it? Are we super pro technology?
So how about the realistic world is like a cyberpunk world?
Okay.
And then not like the game, but not Keanu Reeves. I mean, if Keanu Reeves wants to be in it, that's okay. But like, I was gonna say Keanu Reeves isn't in it, but like, if he wants to be in it, we'll find a place.
Yeah.
He can play the punk rock lady.
Sure. Yeah. He can be anything.
But yeah, you like on a trip to a museum, fall into like an old school game where it's like it's like it's not Stardew Valley, but it's like that kind of vibe, right? It's an 8-bit thing and life is simpler. But it's not. Our game is about the dangers of the good old days.
That's good. That's politically relevant right now.
I thought so. And so you're in this 8-bit world that's been beset by a virus that's going to destroy the world. But eventually you discover that maybe the virus should destroy the world.
Ooh, damn. That's dark.
I don't know. What do you think?
And, like, yeah.
That gets out of the balance idea, though.
No, and then that's fine. That's fine. We can change that up, right?
Yeah, at first you think that you need to be bringing more of this simplicity to your cyberpunk life.
Yeah.
But you realize that it's better in the cyberpunk world.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
I don't know what the gameplay is like.
I mean, you know, adventure-y. There's got to be some... It could just be an adventure game, honestly. Like, there is some combat in Deltarune, but it's also a lot of just, like, looking at things, right?
Yeah, I mean, and yours, obviously, not yours. I mean, you're playing it. I didn't mean to refer to it as your game.
Yeah.
The Longest Journey is point and click.
Yeah.
So maybe the 8-bit world is just like, it is point and click.
Yeah.
And as you start trying to bring things back to your hyper-realistic cyberpunk world, the graphics of your cyberpunk world start to deteriorate.
Oh, damn.
Like, it's regressing back until it looks like it's 1999.
The gamers will not be happy.
They'll be like, well, why can't I stream this?
The gamers will go online and be like, why did the graphics of this game deteriorate over time?
Why can't I stream this game in 10,750p?
What are the devs doing? They need a patch right now.
But then your characters will start to say that stuff.
0 out of 10, not enough puddles.
But the people living in your world are going to be like, what is happening to our world? Like, because the leader of your world will be called the dev.
Yeah.
Like the king is the dev.
You're looking blurry, man. Do I need glasses?
Yeah. They'll be saying all that same nonsense, and then these gamers, they will feel duly shamed.
Exactly. We're talking about the gamers with a capital G, in case you were wondering.
Yeah.
So it probably does not apply to you.
Yeah, we don't there cannot be too many of you capital G gamers.
We are lowercase G gamers.
Gamers.
Yep. We're 2G gamers.
Exactly. I think this is an interesting concept. I like playing with graphics, even though that's not what either of these games is about, even in the slightest.
That's fine. These are just supposed to be drawing inspiration.
I know. You're right.
I like when we get too tied up in bringing the exact amount, that's when we end up with the bad mashups.
I think that this is an excellent mashup, especially compared to our last 3 or 4.
I don't even remember our last 3 or 4, so probably.
I don't remember them very well, but there was one that we did while we were literally asleep.
Oh, the Days Gone and Thief.
Yeah, I can't remember it, but I know that it could not have been good.
No, oh, was that Bloody Boys or was that Bayonetta and Vampire?
Bloody Boys was Bayonetta and Vampire.
It seemed like it could be either one there.
Right, because I was talking a lot about the freakers.
Yeah.
But no, I like this idea of playing with, trying to bring the good old days to the present, but realizing it's actually dragging the present back to the past in a way that's bad. And eventually you just have to wreck the good old days.
Perfect. I love it. Give us money.
And it plays with knowing that it's a game in a way that I think Deltarune does too, which is neat.
Yeah.
So hey, kickstart this for us, people.
Seriously, do it.
Give it a kick.
We'll do
Hit
it.
The start button.
We'll kick
start.
it.
And hey, while you're starting to do things, why don't you start to follow us on social media? We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Talk This Podcast, and we're on YouTube at Talk This Sisters. We must be only a couple weeks away from a new Play This, is that right?
Yeah. I haven't really started working on it yet, but it'll come out.
We're probably a couple weeks away from another Play This, so get hype. And also, check out our website while you're feeling hype. It's www.talkthispodcast.com. There's a ton of blog content right now, just like an abundance of blog content to make up for the fact that there was no blog content for like a month. So it's a good time to go check out Clickbait Boyfriend, to check out Split Screen, to check out the X Thoughts and X Hours series. All of those have new posts that have either recently come out or are coming out very soon. You can also read more about the show, check out the games in the hat that we're about to pull from, learn more about us, and more. Last but not least, make sure you tell your friends about the show and subscribe yourself. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, Pandora on the app, and more. So pretty much wherever you listen to podcasts, Overcast, whatever, we are there. So check us out, subscribe so you never miss an episode on Sundays at noon, share it with your friends, leave us a rating and a review, all that fun stuff. So now that all that is over, Emma, should we pick some games for 2 weeks from now?
We sure should. Okay, so our old game is EVE Online.
Nice.
It's online.
I have heard of that game. There are articles about it seemingly frequently.
Neat. Perfect. And our new game will be... Sorry, I had some trouble copying it. Ooh, it'll be Pathologic 2.
Oh boy, so now you do have to get it.
Nice. I think it's on sale.
Well, now you do have to get it. Emma, who doesn't like scary games.
Let's do it! Yeah.
I mean, I should probably also, but I know I'm not going to like it.
Do it, Val. Do it.
I know I'm not going to like it.
Guilt her, listeners. Do it.
I don't
Guilt
like
her.
to lose.
Make her lose. Have her eat some humble butterscotch pie.
Oh. Well, maybe. I have 2 weeks to chew it over. The humble pie.
Do you want to sign us off, Madelyn?
Sure. I hope that this week, you spend more time in your version of a good universe than your version of the parallel bad universe?